Neighbor? I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, good afternoon. 6 minutes after 3 o'clock on the 16th day of December in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy. I'm very happy to have you here today. I know you have lots of podcasts you can listen to, radio programs. And for whatever reason you've chosen to listen to this one, if you're listening live, wow, that's awesome. And if you're listening on a podcast, thank you very much. You have even more choices on podcast. And so now there's still time for you to catch the last hour of Rush Limbaugh, though. I mean, if you really need to, I just reminding you. It's over on that AM station that I won't mention because I'm not allowed to. But Rush Limbaugh is there right now till 4. No.
It's just a rumor. The rumor that I heard is that you're going to fill in tomorrow from 9 to 11:30 on AM 1040 for our good friend Jan Michelson, who is still recovering and still out. But that's the rumor that I've heard, that you're going to fill in over there.
Are you talking about what the Bible speaks of as gossip?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that just gossip then? That's not actually going to happen. People can't tune in. People can't turn off Greg Laurie on 99.3 and go over to 10. That's not going to happen tomorrow?
First of all, let's get this straight. It's News Radio 1040 WHO.
Wow, you do that really well.
I'm just telling you, that's what it is.
I tried to avoid actually doing their ID to kind of soften the blow of acknowledging another radio station on 99.3 FM, The Truth.
On The Truth.
Right.
99.3 FM.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's that's just a rumor then. So that's good. People can tune in every week. 9 o'clock, Pastor Greg Laurie is on 99.3, followed by Michael Youssef, who has a great ministry. Speaking of Muslims, has a great ministry to the Islamic world, actually.
Really? Is he a Muslim or former?
No, but
I guess Muslim isn't a religion. That's a race. So is he Muslim?
No, Muslim is a religion.
Oh,
so
it is?
Islam is a religion. Muslim is a faith, right? So no, he's Egyptian, but he from that culture, so he can relate to the Middle East culture a lot better.
But he's Christian.
He's oh, absolutely.
Is he like Dr. Brown? He's a converted?
No, I don't. I think Michael Youssef, I want to say he was even born in a Christian family.
All right, I'm going to ask
in Egypt.
I'm going to ask what some people are going to think is a stupid question.
Sure,
but I only learn when I ask stupid questions. The term messianic.
Yeah,
did I say that right?
Yep.
Can you be a messianic Muslim, a messianic Mormon, a messianic Hindu, or is that term just for Jew to Christian?
Right. It's just Jew to Christian because Jesus is Messiah to Israel, the nation of Israel.
Okay.
So he is the Messiah of the Jews. So we worship the Messiah. So he came to save the nation of Israel.
But if you're a Hindu, and you fall in love with Jesus, aren't you a messianic?
No, you would be a Hindu that surrenders their life to Jesus Christ, becomes a follower of Jesus, would be like me. Would be a Gentile. So in biblical terms, there are Jews and there are Gentiles. Everybody that is a Gentile. So someone from the Southeast Asia of Indian descent converting to Christianity would just be a Gentile Christian, like I'm a Gentile Christian.
But they would still say Jesus is their. Well, no, they wouldn't say Jesus is their Messiah.
I say Jesus is my Messiah.
Okay.
That's just biblical language.
Right. And I just want you to know that tomorrow morning from 9 to 11:30, you won't hear that kind of conversation on News Radio 1040 WHO.
You might, especially if Frank calls.
And I also...
No, we should all call in.
No, you can't call.
We should all call in.
A rumor that we're going to incorporate a potential infidel in the conversation tomorrow.
Bradshaw.
On that other station.
On that other station.
Yeah. The truth of the matter is, my friend Jan Michelson, my more than a friend. He's my long-term competitor And he knows this, but I learned so much from him listening to him over the years. He had a stroke, and he's recovering. And so several of us have been asked to fill in over there to make sure he continue to get his benefits and his time off, and everything works right, so he continues to get paid. Kind of like at work, sometimes people will donate vacation time or something. Well, that's kind of what's going on here. But I need to say this. This is the kind of wonderful guy you are, Chris, because I don't think I would have let somebody do this. I just don't think I would have.
Well, and I appreciate that, Mac, but here at 99.3, and I honestly, I learned this from you, Mac. Our listeners are the smartest listeners in the world, and I know that they sometimes listen to that AM station, and I know that they listen to 1040, and I know they listen to there's great Christian music stations in the market. I know that they listen to other stations, and I don't have a problem promoting them, because the one thing I want is to make an impact on the culture, and I think there's a lot of people at WHO saying a lot of really great things. And there's, we're competitors in business, but I think in terms of ministry, I think we do some similar stuff.
I just wonder if Bob brought his wading boots in today, because me and Bob might need a pair.
No, that's true. No, that's very true.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
if I was being called to try out for a job, I wouldn't do it. I'm not interested. I'm just publicly, I'm not interested.
Sure.
I can't. God would have to tell me, show me, reveal to me that that's where He wants me to go, because that's what God did here. God, I don't know if I've ever shared that story on the radio, but someday I will if you want me to. But to me, it is one of my stories of proof of God. When I sit down with an atheist, an agnostic, a non-believer, a non-follower, whatever you want to say, and they don't think that God exists, I tell them that story. And I say, now you tell me how that happens. And basically, long story short, no, I'm not going to tell the story. Well, now I have to. Bad day. Found out that a project I'd been working on for over a year to put a radio station on the air here in town did not happen. It fell through. I was a wreck. I was at the bottom. I had not stopped. No, I had stopped drinking. I had probably stopped drinking for about a year. And as my wife had taken the day off to celebrate with us, as we drove to the bank that afternoon, she drove. She turned on 99.3, and she said, "Have you heard this new radio station?" Because you hadn't been on very long at that point, maybe about a year.
Right. At that point, the Truth Network was new in Iowa. Yeah. We were about a year and a half old, I think.
And I said this statement. Now, why can't a station like that just give me an hour today to do View from the Pew? Why can't a station like that give me an hour a day to do View from the Pew? And 20 minutes later, we walked into a restaurant, and my wife and I were sitting there. I was messed up, teared up, and I'm talking to my wife, and I see over her left shoulder this guy who was you,
right,
standing there looking at me. And it was that look where someone has just put a face with the voice.
Sure, yep, that's what had happened.
And all of a sudden, Chris walked over and said, "Are you J. Michael McCoy are you J. Michael McCoy?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Man, I'm from 99.3, and I'd love to have View from the Pew on our radio station." Now, I'm sorry. I don't know how somebody says that's coincidence. I just don't. So, but anyway, that's not going to happen. I just appreciate you giving me a chance to fill in for Jan. There's several of us that are trying to do it. So things go well over there while he's gone. And he also is given his full compensation and all that. And tune in tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of fun. So
now you missed the part of the story where the restaurant got slammed for lunch.
Yes, that's
and
true.
You had to sub, and you and your wife subbed as bus boys, bus girls.
No, that's true.
Cleaning the joint up, and then you.
I was trying to make the story shorter, but yeah,
there's lots of details, and there was what was going on my day too, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there was a lot of convergence, as it were. But no, it's a cool story. And full disclosure, Jan Michelson is a believer. He's a brother in Christ, and it is.
Jan, if you want to come over here when you're done and retired, you come on over here. You're welcome here.
That's right, and we're glad to share that. With them, so
I just get a little taken when the conversation starts by Mac how great Chris Roloff is.
What
and
Frank's implying is that you don't really think that, Mac, and we all know that's
true.
absolute truth. You love me.
That is
you
absolute.
love me, Mac.
Chris Roloff is my legacy. Okay,
Sorry about that,
I
man.
don't have. I've only got 4 or 5 people that would be able to be legacy. Bob is not interested in continuing in this business. If I'm right, I mean, you and I are doing this. If somebody, well, I don't know, maybe he would do his own show. I don't know. He's a pretty big deal. Frank. And Ryan, I tried to get Ryan involved in this, but no, he's got to go off and be a Moody Bible College pastor. Like, that's his calling, you know. Being my producer isn't enough in the world. He's got to be a pastor and save lives and, you know, like that's a bigger deal than being my producer. All right, so, and Frank, I really do hate to tell you, but Chris and Ryan and Bob are all coming on the show tomorrow. We just want you to...
Oh, okay. That's the secret.
We need you to be here to answer the phone. So, and you
right,
can't
that's
listen
right,
to
that's right.
any other station.
And I get to call in tomorrow then,
No,
right?
you're not. I'm serious.
You mean I can't argue with Bradshaw?
No. Well, I don't think we're going to be talking about anything you care about.
Oh.
We're going to, Mike Ahmed, who was on yesterday's coming on. Pastor Mike's coming on.
It's going to be a cool show.
And then I talked to the police department today about my whole theory on this Court Avenue thing. They agree.
Really?
Yeah.
So are you going to have a chief of police down there with you?
No, I'm going to have a city councilman.
City councilman, okay.
Skip Moore, yeah.
Good.
All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, there's a bunch of stuff going on in the news, some of it local, some of it national. Just so you know, Fleur Drive, it was supposed to open here at 3 o'clock. It was supposed to stay closed to like Friday, but things have cleared up, so Fleur Drive should be open right now. More news and a new guest, first-time guest in the 4 o'clock hour, right here on The Truth. That's right, The Truth, 99.3.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
the beautiful Christmas music of Nathan Thomas, worship leader at Berean over there in Pleasant Hill. So nice to have him. Those CDs are available, $5 a piece. I can tell you that I'm going to use mine on Christmas Day when all the grandkids are over and we're doing Christmas. My wife's a Christmas person. I was not a Christmas person when we first met. And I don't think God could give me enough Christmases on this earth to pay her back. And luckily, she doesn't feel that there was an injustice.
Was you a Scrooge?
I just didn't feel worthy. I didn't have a relationship with Jesus. You know, I didn't. It was hot and it was noisy and loud. And see, my wife does this. All the presents are distributed. And then everybody goes around the room, and one at a time you open a present. And you're not allowed to open the next present until the last person's completely done. And my wife is a wonderful Christmas person. My wife puts budgets on every kid, every person, and then goes out and buys as many things as she can with that budget. Because she thinks Christmas is about the gift, opening the gift. It's not about what the gift is so much, although she's really good at it. But it's about getting a gift. And when you're 5 years old in my wife's house, man, you probably get 20 gifts because it's just the fun of opening all the gifts. So I don't know what I was, Frank. I wasn't a follower of Jesus, and I suppose deep inside, the accuser who had control of my life was not very happy that I was celebrating Jesus' birth.
But did you go Christmas bah humbug?
Yeah, I kind of did, to be honest with you. Yeah, I did. All right, today on the news, catching you up on local news right here on News Radio 1040. I was just practicing. I just got a really dirty look from Chris. I've just don't you? Okay, never mind.
As long as you do the same tomorrow.
Right here on News Radio 99.3, The Truth.
Yeah. Do the same thing tomorrow. That'd be great.
Yeah, I can. I do the
same. See. We're a little bit nicer over here.
You are. I'm a lot nicer over here. All right. So apparently there's this. Do you know all about this new University of Iowa president that was hired?
Frankly, I do not. No.
All right. I'm gonna use a word here, but I have to use it. The liberal staff, professors, staff, were very upset with this hiring because he's not a liberal. He's not an educator. He's a businessman that the regents felt could come in and really take the University of Iowa in the direction they wanted.
Wow.
Sally Mason, who was the president for a long time, who I think did a very good job, had a rough ending. And so the regents felt, because I've talked to the regents just felt it was time to maybe hire a business person rather than a professional educator. Kind of like we're looking at with Trump and Carson and Bernie, some of these guys.
Sure. Kind of an outsider.
So they paid a consultant company a whole bunch of money to find him. He was like one of only two people they interviewed.
Wow.
He got the job, and they've been up his backside from day one. Well, the other day he said something, and they are not very happy. Here's what he said. First of all, after apologized for using insensitive metaphor, the president of the University of Iowa said he now wants to set the record straight on what he actually said during a recent UI staff council meeting. So this was recorded. There's no doubt what he said. Quote, unquote, during a discussion with our staff council, I responded to a question about improving graduate student teaching by commenting that I have learned the hard way that if I ever walk into a classroom without a teaching plan, I should be shot. U of I President Bruce Harold wrote Tuesday to an email to the Press Citizen, Iowa City Press Citizen. The email came in response to an Associated Press story citing an email conversation between Harold and Lisa Gardner, a UI librarian and member of the UI Staff Council. In that exchange, Gardner took Harold to task for claiming that there was one way to prepare lessons, and any instructor who goes into a class without having done so should be shot. The email exchange has since been made available to several media outlets. Clearly, he says, using the word shot in today's environment is insensitive, and I apologize. However, I never said teachers should be shot. So what you've got here is this. They're just gonna find thing after thing after thing after thing until finally something sticks, and this guy walks away. I'll bet you. How old's your daughter?
7.
Before she's 10, I bet that guy's gone, and probably less than that. And it'll be that liberal mindset of I'm just going to bully him, and I'm going to bully him, and I'm going to bully him, and I'm going to bully him until finally he says, I don't need this anymore. And then they'll claim victory, but the University of Iowa will be less for it because he's a good guy.
So the whole story is about using the word shot?
Yeah.
Much like Sarah Palin was blasted for using the word target certain districts to win, etc. There's certain words we can't use in our own vernacular anymore because the PC police are out in force making sure we don't use certain words. So the whole story is about the word shot.
Correct.
Right. And that is just, when you read that, my first thought was that's political correctness gone to silly. That's completely silly. And now you've got the tinfoil hat thing of this is, the liberal university that wants to get rid of someone they don't like, which you had a great broadcast this week with a gal who just kind of went through the bully machine of a liberal school. Ms. McKenzie, who you had on this week, right, who lost her status within the sorority at Cornell for saying or standing up for what she believes in, and was bullied and pecked and beat and bullied to leave and then kicked out. I mean, that's sad. It's pathetic. It's ignorant made into bulliness. That person who said that knows good and well that he was using euphemism.
Yeah.
He slang. He was kidding. He was not actually saying take the person out and shoot them with a gun. That is not literally what the person intended to mean. And the person complaining about that knows that. Unless they have no sense of humor whatsoever and have actually lost that ability to get a joke, they just don't understand.
Yeah, well, as soon as Max said that ought to be shot, because I hadn't heard this, I immediately said that's not politically correct to use that term.
But again, like Mac pointed out, this is a businessman. This is a guy who doesn't live in a silly, bureaucratic, politically correct infused society. He lives in the real world where people actually say things, and smart people can understand when you're joking and when you're being serious.
Well, you're right. You're right. And what do we do about it? We are allowing ourselves to be bullied. We are allowing ourselves to be bullied by, what do you call them, the word police?
Thought police, word police, politically correct speech.
So what do we do about that? Now, I'm not offended. If somebody tries to bully me over a word I use, quite frankly, this is going to sound arrogant, but to be honest with you, it's okay, bring it on. Let's go. You want to take that stupid thing, well, you can't say that word or that term. Okay, well, let's go. Why can't I? Well, because it's offensive. Well, then choose not to be offended. That's when anybody ever uses the word offended, I'm offended. Why do you choose to be offended?
I gotta argue with you though, Mac. In this instance, I seriously doubt anyone was actually offended here. It's the potential to be offended that it bothers me. If someone is offended, okay, I'm sorry for offending you. That's legitimate. If you say something, if someone walks up to me and says, Chris, you're kind of fat, man, you should lose some weight. Truth is, that's true. It doesn't make me feel good. I'm going to be a little offended by that because of the bluntness of it. And I might be able to say to that guy, hey, man, that was a little much. I'm offended by that. That's legitimate. But if he says that to me and I say, hey, that term could be construed as offended, now that's just stupidity, because was someone actually offended or not, yes or no? Not the potential for being offended. That's a completely different thing. So I disagree with you, Mac, that if someone is offended by the words that you say, you are held responsible for the words that you say because you actually did offend them. And being offended is that's real. That is a real thing that happens to people. I really can be offended. But what I don't like is being shut down because of the, quote, potential of offense.
But
right?
You have professional people who will be offended for you. You don't even have to be offended anymore, because you'll have people that will jump in and try to get somebody fired as a surrogate. They're a surrogate of being offended on your behalf.
So now you're talking about premeditated malicious intent, and that's an attack. And why isn't that a problem? Why isn't the person who is going out of their way to find someone to be offended by what I said, who wasn't originally offended by what I said, now they're being brought in, and I'm being beat up because of this fabricated thing? Why isn't you know what I mean? That person now is using someone else as a weapon.
But here's the solution to it. They've been stacking liberals on our courts and in our colleges and universities as presidents from the Woodstock hippie holdout era. So how to counterbalance that
remark.
How to counterbalance that is to start sending more Christian kids to college, more Christian kids going into law, more Christian kids becoming lawyers, more Christian kids becoming judges. That's the only way you're going to be able to reverse it.
Right. And it's a long-term plan. Look, we didn't get here, right? We didn't get here overnight.
50 years.
Right. The PC police didn't just show up yesterday and, oh no. This was a long time coming. So, I think you're right, Frank. We have to have a long view on this.
Well, Mac, you said, what do we do about it? And the answer is, we're talking about it.
I guess that's the best we can do, to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Iowa State. Go to Iowa State. That's what.
Jill says it's coming to the point where one person will be offended that a person they don't like is even still breathing. See, I'm not going to take responsibility for you choosing to be offended by my words. Now, let me back up. That doesn't mean if you have colored skin that I can call you a slur, okay? That doesn't mean I can stand up in a theater and yell fire. Rudeness. Tell me I've been rude to you. I'll apologize for that. But for you to go all the way to decide that you're going to be offended? Because, see, when someone says I'm offended, they're trying to change the conversation.
Okay.
They're manipulating the conversation. I'm so offended I can't talk to you anymore. It's their way of shutting down the conversation. If somebody says, your tone, you're rude, that's rude. All right, I'm sorry, I'm rude. Let's have this conversation, and I'll try not to be rude. And I'm just telling you, maybe I'm just an old white guy, but if you want to get rid of bullying in this country, teach your children not to be offended. Teach them not to react to the bullies by going, I'm sorry, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. I can choose that words can never hurt me.
I used to
and
tell...
quite frankly, this job for 40 years, you got to learn to do that or you can't do
I used to tell my daughter when she was in grade school, never let anybody who's trying to intimidate you see that it's getting under your skin. Because if they see that it's getting under your skin, they're going to come at you harder. Don't run into the bathroom bawling. Toughen up. Because if they see you, they'll come in like sharks in a feeding frenzy.
Which is sad. Thank you, by the way, Mac, for making that distinction, because I think you're absolutely right. There's a difference between someone speaking to me rudely and me choosing to be offended, and I appreciate your distinction because that's important.
Yeah,
it's not just semantics. That's where this conversation gets lost.
If I'm trying to be rude to you, shame on me.
Right, stop it. Yeah. Right.
But if I just say something that offends you, that's your choice to be offended. All right, Zach Paulson was stabbed 35 times by Stephen Jones. This going back a couple of years. A few weeks ago, Paulson and his wife learned this man that did this sentenced to a minimum medium security prison. Not the hard time the family thought he should suffer from. What's the correct punishment? We'll tell you all about Kurt Paulson when we come back live here on The Truth, 99.3.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed right or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
All right, that's the music of worship leader Nathan Thomas at Berean Assembly in Pleasant Hill. Those CDs are available till Christmas, $5. Great music to play in the background while everybody opens presents. 3:38, J. Michael McCoy, 22 minutes before the top. This is Max World Live. If you are a new listener, thanks for listening to us. Sure appreciate it. You may have been an old listener of 98.3 and found that they were no longer doing what you like, and you push the scan button, and whoops, there we are. And for those of you that like to hear proof of God stories, I just want to lay something out for you for a second. I believe that this radio station is being blessed by God. And it's not because that we're a Christian station. It's because that we're not afraid to say the name of Jesus. And that's it. We will say his name over and over and over. And if a sponsor chooses to quit, fine. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on the backside on the way out. If the listener says, I'm offended because you say Jesus' name, then shut the radio off. I believe God's blessing this radio station. And one of the things I believe he did for us is 90 days. We've been trying to move into Des Moines for 4 years. 90 days after we're on the air and we get settled and we get our seatbelts off and we can finally move our trays to an upright position and walk around the airplane, our number 2 competitor leaves the format. 98.3. Now, I don't know. Maybe in your world, that's a coinkydink. But in my world, coincidence is God's way of revealing himself and telling me, Mac, Chris, Ryan, Gizmo, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. So I'm very happy with that. All right. Frank poured himself into the debates last night. Bob and I just found out, Bob, you did what I did, fell asleep during the debates.
Sure did.
That tells you how uninterested I am in this stuff anymore. Now, you watched the whole debates?
I did not watch the whole thing, but I will tell you that I'm really interested in this story that you previewed before the break. So,
all right. So
we can talk about the debates in a minute.
We'll get to the debates in a minute. So, all All right, so most of you probably remember this story. It was a Saturday morning in August of 2014. Kurt Polson arrived at his family contracting business at 79th Street and University Boulevard just after the workers along the Greenbelt found the body of his 21-year-old son. Zach Paulson was an avid sportsman who loved the outdoors. Zach Paulson was an avid sportsman. He was found stabbed to death 35 times. Now, that number's important. He was found stabbed to death. His death was ruled a homicide. Later, autopsy officials said he was stabbed 3 times in the upper torso, cutting a main artery. Now, I'm making this up as I go along. What I'm not making up is that he was stabbed 35 times. That is a crime of passion.
Yes, it is.
That is not a get off me, I want to get away, leave me alone. This was a crime of passion. The body was found in a pool of blood at the foot of the trailer of the trail. Rain through the night left Zach's arm cold and stiff to the father's touch. So this guy, his name is Johannes. I'm trying to get his first name here. Sorry, I've got a lot of paper in front of me. The guy who was accused of doing it was named Stephen Johannes. Stephen Johannes, Jonas, Johannes. He was eventually found guilty of that murder. So here's a 21-year-old man who's murdered in passion, stabbed 35 times, and the verdict took one day. He was charged with first-degree murder. The jury found him guilty of second-degree murder. Sentence, have to serve at least 35 years of a 50-year sentence. So pretty serious, right? Well, the family comes to find out that this guy's basically in the country club, low, medium security, in Newton, Iowa. He's not, and I don't know if you've ever visited a prison. Unfortunately, I have several times through ministry. It's just not, I'll never feel comfortable in a prison. You go, that's like in Anamosa. You go to the one over in Newton, you think you're walking into a retirement center. I mean, it's just.
There was one in El Paso where I grew up, minimum security prison, and it was literally like a resort. You could go have family picnics and stuff near the yard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was a safe place. This was not like hanging out near a prison. You don't want to go have a barbecue near a prison, but this place was like. Right, it's a white-collar crime, right?
Now, well, and see, and I don't want to sound hypocritical here because somebody's listening going, Mac, you've always been saying the judicial system is too hard on criminals, white-collar criminals. When a guy steals money from his company, he deserves to be kept out of society, but he doesn't need to be put next door to a murderer. There's just no reason to do that. Our job is not justice, okay? In the end, our job is not punishment, it's justice. If there's a punishment for this man, that will be God's wrath. So if a guy steals money from his company or does a white-collar crime that hurts nobody else except a system, I don't believe they should be put in Anamosa. Anamosa is like $100 and some a day per prisoner. And these people aren't dangerous. They're not going to hurt anybody else. Now, don't let them near my books or my bank account or whatever. This guy killed a 21-year-old kid by viciously stabbing him 35 times. And he's in a country club prison. I hope to get this family on the air.
May I ask, what is the justification? Is there any justification for why he's in a minimum security prison? Why would a murderer be in a minimum security prison? That just doesn't seem...
Well, everybody, the way I understand, has got to go somewhere around Iowa City for an evaluation. There's a distribution center up there where all Iowa inmates go, and then they disperse them according to their need to where they need to go.
Your answer, and Frank's not wrong. Your answer is ching, ching, ching. He had a good lawyer. A good lawyer can plead a case. John Sarcone, who tried this case in Polk County. John Sarcone's a great guy. He'd throw the book at him. He got the maximum sentence. But the lawyer, after the sentence was made, the lawyer then got it so he would serve a more comfortable sentence. All right? And that's what the family's so upset about. Because, see, most of the times this story doesn't have legs. Nobody cares. You know, he's in prison for 35 or 50 years. The parents are just mad and they want more justice. They'll never get a pound of flesh. They'll never get enough that they want. They're just going to drive everybody crazy with it. But I don't agree with it on this story. There are stories I agree on that, by the way, especially when they're white-collar crime.
Well, and we talked about this weeks and weeks ago, and there's an issue here. You talk about justice. If life is the most valuable thing, on the planet, human life is the most valuable thing on the planet, what is the just punishment for willfully, intentionally, maliciously taking that life? What's the just punishment for that? And I'm not sure, if this guy's found guilty, then the dude's guilty. I'm not sure that being locked up in a country club prison is justice for taking a human life. Look, no bones about it. I'm from Texas, and I'm for the death penalty. If you take a human being's life, you deserve to die. That's it. Your life should come to an end.
Yeah.
Now, you have time, and you mentioned prison ministry. I think it's a great opportunity for Christians to go into the prisons, evangelize in this situation, preach the gospel, give the opportunity for this man or woman to receive Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. They, in fact, can be redeemed, but the death penalty is still what they deserve, even if they come to know Jesus and become good people. If you kill someone, your life has to go, because human life is the most valuable thing on the planet. And if we stop valuing human life, which we don't anymore in this country, Mac, we don't value human life, and this is more evidence of it, in my opinion, that people don't care about human life here.
Do you think Christ was anti-death penalty?
I do. Was Christ anti-death penalty? No, I think he would have been pro-death penalty.
Well, he suffered the ultimate death penalty, and he didn't alleviate the two people who had been penalized to death next to him either. So I would say he was probably pro-death penalty.
All right, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, Frank's review of the big Republican debate last night. Can't wait to hear it. All right, I'm being a little sarcastic. I can wait.
You can wait.
I can wait 2 minutes.
I have to.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on Webcast1Live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
It is 10 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour is Salem Radio Network News, and then we have a pastor on who is new to our ministry.
New to the radio station, yeah.
Yeah, this gentleman has never been on. His name is Brent Fees, and he is the pastor at Calvary Chapel at 606 East 9th, or is that 7th? Hold on. East 9th. Worship services at 9:30, Wednesday at 7. I hope you can stick around. We're gonna go through some of the Ask the Pastor questions.
Well, I would. I was a longtime Calvary Chapel member myself. In fact,
that's right, you were.
I worked for Calvary Chapel Radio Ministry for a number of years before I worked for the Truth Network. So, I'm excited to know this gentleman a little bit more. We've met briefly, so.
All right, so Frank, you watched the debates. The microphone's yours.
Well, this was after the debate. I think the biggest story of the night, I don't know if it was reported on or not, but Trump was quizzed after the debate, and he said they was talking about his angry demeanor, and he says, well, I haven't even started on Hillary yet. And he said 3 times, and I want Tom Coates to hear this because I hope Tom's listening. He said, if they let her run. So Trump's not sold the Democratic Party is going to let her run. He thinks basically, reading between the lines, that she's going to be, what's the word I need? Indicted on the charges of the email scandal.
So does that leave Bernie Sanders, or does that leave some hero to sweep in?
That would leave, to me, some hero like Al Gore, Joe Biden, et cetera, to come on in. Second thing that I found of interest last night is Carson was quizzed about his potential third-party run, and he said, well, he had a talk with the Republican Reince Priebus, and that he probably wasn't going to pursue that unless, due to the subterfuge, he used the subterfuge of the Republican Party in the past, and he would only do that if he thinks the Republicans are thwarting the will of the people. The vote of the people. So we told them last time, give us anybody but Romney. Give us anybody but Romney. And what'd they do? They gave us Romney.
Yeah.
So the same thing will happen this time if they shove Jeb Bush or somebody down our throat that we don't want. The Republican conservative Christian voter is going to go into open revolt.
Frank, let me ask you a question. You watched more of the debate than I did. Some of the rhetoric that I've heard just today has been that it was a good debate because it was more substantive than debates in the past had been. Did you experience that?
Yes, they said they had a real battle royal last night in the Republican Party over the split in the party about getting involved in overthrowing dictators and fixing what we need to fix here at home. Put the oxygen mask on yourself. Whenever an airplane has an issue where the oxygen mask comes down, they always tell you, put that on yourself. Your natural inclination is to want to put it on your child, put it on someone you love. They say, put it on yourself, because unless you put the mask on yourself, you're of no good to anybody else.
Right.
So Trump and some of these people are saying, hey, we need to take care of ourselves here at home. Then we can start looking to help others. But one other story that I thought was kind of interesting, and I guess it's not a new story, but I found out last night that I didn't realize that Ted Cruz's wife works for Goldman Sachs. And this is the same Goldman Sachs that we got Tim Geithner from. And this is the pool of corrupt people that we put in financial leadership positions in D.C., that Republicans and Democrats both choose from that pool. And
that was troubling to you? You didn't like that?
That was troubling to me because Cruz may not be the outsider he's painting himself as. He may be more of an insider because there's going to be connection with Goldman Sachs.
Forgive me for my ignorance. How can Cruz paint himself as an outsider? Look, I mean, and maybe I'm being ignorant. I mean, when you've got someone like Trump, Carly Fiorina, and Ben Carson, those are clearly outsiders. Those are non-DC people. I mean, with all due respect to Ted Cruz, I mean, he is a part of the establishment to some degree, even if he's an inside outsider, so to speak, right? Is that how they're saying?
That's how it is.
He's a United States Senator.
What?
He's a United States Senator. He's not outside.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's
but he's trying to paint himself as one.
Gotcha.
That's because he goes against his own party also.
But Goldman Sachs,
not very popular.
It's been a public story record that Goldman Sachs is encouraging its employees to take hiatus from the business to go into government. So they've constantly got, I mean, it's too cozy of a relationship for my taste.
And that's a follow the money kind of thing, I guess, too, right? So,
all right, so what else? How'd Trump do?
I think Trump done real well. He didn't do anything to shoot himself in the foot, but I think he Jeb Bush is a dead man walking.
Can I say, I want to say something I thought that Trump did that was actually I really enjoyed. He echoed Carly Fiorina in this, and that is getting the private sector involved in more of what we want the government to be doing. You know, he was asked the question based on some comment that he made about shutting down the government or the internet. And of course, they asked the question, Trump, you're for shutting down parts of the internet? And of course, that's kind of a loaded question because in today's society, when we want to talk about liberty and freedom and independence, shutting down the internet brings up all kinds of problems in people's minds. I don't believe that Trump was saying what the question wanted us to believe he was saying. But I liked what Trump said, though. He said he wants to get the smart people from Silicon Valley to address the issue because we have Islamic terrorists using the internet to recruit people here in the United States, and we have to get smart people on this to prevent that from happening. He's not talking about shutting down our access to the government. I think the internet. I think he's talking about getting smart people on this project to figure out how we can hack the hackers or get involved in this. And I think he's right. That's one of the things I like about Trump is he knows where he doesn't know something, and he's willing to get advice from smart people to get those answers. When he was being
booed for that, he had the most priceless expression on his face, and he just looked like, the bad guys can kill us, but we're not supposed to do anything in return.
Right.
And it was obviously about 8 women that Rand Paul had there cheering for him every time he finished his sentence.
But it's the problem of misunderstanding, I think, where Trump's coming from. Trump's not addressing the issue that is on a lot of people's minds of limiting the internet usage. Trump is saying we need to be protecting ourselves and our citizens by doing a better job at working with the internet and stopping things. Maybe shutting down probably wasn't the right word here. I don't think that's what he meant.
I think the thrust of Trump's campaign is at this time in our country's history, we don't need nice. 10 years ago, we might have been able to afford nice. 20 years ago, we might have been able to afford a Jeb Bush nice, who's went against his mother's wishes. Trump tagged him perfectly as low energy. That label will stick with him, forever because Trump just tagged the guy perfectly.
10 seconds. Who won the debate?
I would say Trump because he didn't lose it and he didn't do anything that shot himself in the foot. He toned it down and he looked more presidential. All
right, we're going to introduce you to a pastor from Calvary Chapel in Des Moines. Brett Fees is next. It's Ask the Pastor. Because on this radio station, we can talk about Jesus. It's the truth. 99.3.